guys, my name is Skylar Leverink. I am doing a review of the Siege Suppressors ROC556 suppressor. I had worked with East Valley Tactical out of Mesa, Arizona to make this possible. They helped me through the whole Form 4 process from start to finish, filing all the paperwork and getting the approval within just a few days. I had my suppressor submitted on a Monday, and I had it approved on the following Tuesday. So first I want to talk about the weapon hosts that were used for this suppressor review. I have them both here with me. They are both unloaded, unchambered, and on safe. So first off, I had used a 16-inch SPR build that I did that was actually my first AR. It's a FN Patrol carbine, 16-inch, that was used initially as just my general purpose rifle that had later been switched over to an SPR build. This is reliably reaching out to 1,000 yards within just a couple feet with just a standard 55 grain 5.56 ammo. This has performed extremely well in terms of the SPR platform, and as we'll talk about a little later, worked extremely well on the ROC556 suppressor as well. The second gun that is a little more fun is the 12.5-inch. It's a custom build that I did, and I'll kind of go from tip to butt on this really quick to kind of talk over what exactly was involved with this build, the process behind the build, and my thought process, as well as the practical use in terms of using a ROC556 suppressor on this kind of post. So first off, obviously you have the Siege ROC556 suppressor on the front with the, I have a Reardon Atlas hub connected to the suppressor, and then the muzzle device that it is threaded onto, I currently have the Liberty Precision muzzle brake. It's their Liberty Bell muzzle brake. The barrel is a 12.5-inch Faxon barrel. It is not the SOCOM heavy barrel style barrel. It is more of a hybrid pencil barrels, lighter barrel. Then I have just a standard finger stop on the front, as well as a Strike Industries hand stop here just behind it. The entire receiver set is by B King's MFG or Firearms out of, I want to say it's Ohio. They build really awesome receiver sets. They also came with the handguard. When you buy it as a parts kit, basically it comes with the handguard, the upper receiver, and the lower, but there is no parts for the upper or for the lower outside of that, so you will need to buy a forward assist, charging handle, bolt carrier group, and dust cover for the upper, and then your standard lower parts kit with pistol grip, trigger, safety, the whole 9 yards there. You'll have to get the buffer tube, obviously, and if you're on a pistol, you'll need to get a brace, and unless you want to SBR it, and then you could throw a stock on. Next, I have a GBRS mount with a SMS lasers tack light, as well as it's a visible white light with a green laser and a infrared laser. Then I have a SIG Romeo MSR on as the red dot, and a SIG Juliet 3 magnifier with a Unity style riser for the magnifier. The bolt carrier group that I'm using on this build is a DLC coded Toolcraft bolt carrier group, which I can talk about a little bit more later, but in just about every way, I think it is a newer, better upgrade than the standard black nitride or nickel boron standard bolt carrier groups that you would find in just a cheap build. Even some of the higher end builds, such as Daniel Defense builds, come with a black nitride bolt carrier group. These DLC coated ones are extremely tough. They're self lubricating, and they will last you a very, very long time. I'm also running kind of an important part on here is the superlative adjustable gas block. This is the 0.625 sizing instead of the 0.750. This is a really handy part of the build for a couple of reasons. One, it helps to reduce the gas to the face and kind of increases the pleasurability in terms of shooting 5.56 suppressed. 5.56 is a very gassy round out of the box, so you will need to upgrade to an adjustable gas block if you intend to do a lot of shooting with 5.56, as well as it also allows you to adjust the gas to decrease the wear on internal parts. Having too much gas on an upper can really wear out the bolt carrier group, put excess strain on parts that don't need to be stressed, and it also makes it just way less pleasant to shoot. I'm also just running a standard Arid multicam sling here. I'm trying to find the company for you guys. The company is AWS Inc., and it is a made in the US sling, as well as I'm running some BCM sling connector points that can help me position where I want to have the sling. I'm just running a standard hip charging handle here. It's a dual charging handle, so you can go from either side. And then just a standard two-position ambi safety. So, and then obviously the pistol grip is from Daniel Defense, and that pretty much covers it, other than the little pick rail covers that I have on the front here from Magpul. So let me talk a little bit about this suppressor here. So first off, extremely impressed with the cannon in every single way. The durability is quite exceptional on this can. I saw that Siege did a internal testing on this can and did, I believe it was 1,440 rounds through this can. I don't have an exact time period on how much they did within, so the amount of rounds within a certain time period, but the can was glowing like a lightsaber. It was the forbidden popsicle, and so that I think that should tell you that this thing got really hot, and it held up just fine. As you can see on their post, they had essentially very minimal wear, especially to the internal design of this can, which I will get into in just a moment. But the only part that saw minor wear after 1,440 rounds in quick succession was in the blast chamber. There was slight pitting, and that should not long-term affect the suppressor, as if you have 1,440 rounds to burn through within quick succession, you are in a lot more trouble than you would think. And I don't think that the biggest concerns for you will be if your can's going to blow up or not, and this can will not. It has a really nice standard flash tip on the front of this suppressor, and I want to talk a little bit about the two designs that I think that really help with the innovation of this suppressor. First, something that has become more popular to see in cans is the hub mount design. You can attach rear end Atlas mounts, you can attach chemo mounts, whatever sort of hub compatible design, even a direct thread you can do. Any of those will work on this suppressor, and it is, in my opinion, the part that allows the can to be the most versatile and most customizable to your personal taste. I personally run the reared end Atlas as the hub for the suppressor, which then attaches to a muzzle brake or a flash hider compensator that has external threads that fit this design. I think it is a superior mount for many reasons. but we're here to talk about the suppressor. So the second part that I really want to talk about is the linear diffusion array. That is the sort of new technology that Siege is coming out with for their internals of this suppressor. Traditional suppressors have baffle cones that will essentially just capture and contain the explosion of your 5.56 round. So the big flash you'll see out the front of the can, or sorry, not the can, just the regular muzzle if you are not running a suppressor, is contained inside of the suppressor and is really quite impressive, as I will be showing here momentarily. The design is completely revamped. It is a new innovative technology that is no longer using baffle cones. It instead diverts the explosion of the blast throughout the can and redirects that explosion until the explosion has dissipated within the can, allowing for extremely good flash performance. The sound performance is incredible, and it also is a massive upgrade in terms of back pressure. So reading off the testing from Silencer Summit Sound Tests, the Siege ROC556 can came in 4th overall, essentially tied for second at the shooter's ear at 146.86 decibels. And really coming in close, the Rugged Razor 5 was coming in at 146.28, and then the Ranger 5 from AAC was coming in at 146.76, so within essentially about a half of a decibel, which is not going to be noticeable. The can's back pressure, to me, as I will show in some videos and you may have seen earlier, there was an extremely nice ejection pattern on the can. It was pretty much right at 4 o'clock, 3:30, perfect ejection. Part of that is the adjustable gas block, but also this can does have extremely low back pressure for the sound performance that you're getting out of it. Something similar to the Huxworks 556K, the Flow 556K, that's a extremely low back pressure can. It's not going to have something quite as low as that in terms of back pressure. You are going to gain significant sound performance and flash performance because the can is a bit longer, it's a little bit less back pressure, and it was designed to be essentially a duty-use can that will last you thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. I don't have any testing on this can in terms of the longevity that you can get out of this can, but I would put this at something that would be similar to an RC2 or an RC3, where you can run 60, 70, 80,000 rounds through this can and be completely fine. And this will probably end up being a can you'll have your entire lifespan, and you will not outshoot this can. You will outshoot many, many barrels, many bolts, and you can put this on many different hosts of different barrel lengths and be completely fine. So next I want to talk about a little bit of my testing that I did with the certain muzzle devices in terms of flash performance. I was going to do the direct thread that this can comes with, but since decided, because I believe that this would perform better with with a muzzle device attached to it for the Reardon Atlas, I had stuck to 3 different muzzle devices for this can that I think would perform the best. And first off is the Liberty Precision Liberty Bell muzzle brake. And this, I prefer using brakes on my suppressors for one simple reason, and that is that it acts as a sacrificial baffle in terms of taking the blast and taking the wear and tear off of the suppressor and putting it on the muzzle device, which is significantly cheaper and a lot easier to get than a suppressor, because muzzle devices are not NFA items. The second muzzle device that was used was the Q Cherry Bomb, which I would like to get a little bit into in just a second. This performed extremely well in terms of flash. It felt really good to shoot. It is a compensator. It does act as a sacrificial baffle similar to a muzzle brake, but there is one drawback to these Q cherry bombs that is a self-inflicted issue, but in something that can be prevented, but I do think it is important to talk about in case you're not willing to take this one simple step that most people might not want to do. The last muzzle attachment that I used was the Liberty Precision. I want to say this is called the Eclipse flash hider. It is not their pin and weld flash hider. It is just a standard closed tined 3-prong style flash hider. And this performed probably the best out of all three in terms of flash performance. The one drawback to a flash hider is that you don't get that sacrificial baffle advantage that you would with a brake or a compensator, such as the Q Cherry Bomb or the Liberty Precision Liberty Bell muzzle brake. So I will put some footage up here momentarily showing the flash performance under night vision, and for the footage that I do have that isn't under night vision, it's very hard to see, but I will show the different muzzle attachments under non-night vision to compare. I like to use night vision to see the true performance of a suppressor's flash performance, because you are going to see significantly more flash under night vision. It amplifies that light and shows more detail that you wouldn't be able to see. I shot the footage in 120 frames per second to be able to slow it down so that you can truly see the flash performance the best to my ability. Obviously, with a hyperspeed camera or something that you can shoot extremely high frame rates with, you'll get more data. But I am a solo here with the help of one or two other people that I think for the testing that we did do was very good. It is obviously not something that is quantitative, but it's all opinionated and it's good data. But visually, you will be able to see the flash performance under night vision, which I will be posting here in just a second. The tubes that I used for the night vision is a Gen 2 Plus white phosphor tube. Extremely well performing. I think the Gen 2 Plus and Gen 3 tubes, from my experience, are very close in comparison, but you are getting quite a good deal for the Gen 2 Plus versus the Gen 3 tubes in terms of pricing. And if you're just getting into night vision, a PVS 14 and Gen 2 Plus and green or white phos might be the way to go. So here is the performance of the different muzzle attachments, and I will post that right now. So something that I have posted in the videos that you guys just saw was the ammo that was used. I consistently used GGG ammo 556. It was 55 grain. It wasn't M193. It was just a standard 55 grain 556 ammo. It performed extremely well. The reason I used 556 ammo is because something like green tip, that steel core 62 grain, is usually quite a bit flashier and comes out hotter. It's a spicier round, and you're going to get a little more sparking no matter what the can is, or even if you use muzzle attachments that don't have suppressors on them, that's even going to be amplified as well. So the thing I need to also address here too is I will show you a more close-up design or a photo slash video of the Q Cherry Bomb. Something that Q has recently released is an updated version of the Cherry Bomb called the Rear End, kind of a spin-off on the Rearden muzzle attachments. So the big drawback with these Q Cherry Bombs is they don't have wrench flats on the back near the end of the threads close to the barrel. So what that can lead to doing is, say that I had my Atlas ROC set to my suppressor. I would have an extremely hard time getting this Q Cherry Bomb off had I had that ROC set, the Atlas ROC set to the can without the muzzle attachment ROC set to the barrel. Now, this is user error. I obviously should, if I intend to keep the Cherry Bomb as my main muzzle attachment on my weapon, that I should be ROC setting these muzzle attachments to the barrel. So that is my fault. But at the same time, for testing purposes, I did need to swap these muzzle attachments very quickly, and without wrench flats, it ended up getting stuck, even though I tried to mitigate that. So what ended up happening is the muzzle attachment got stuck up into the can, and I had to wait a good 15 to 20 minutes to let the can cool down to a point where it was cool enough for my hand to be able to grab onto the can and have enough friction to be able to torque off my Rearden Atlas device, and then try and take off the Q Cherry Bomb, which does have a wrench adaptable tip on the front here, so that does help to get it off. But for the time being, I had to take the entire Atlas device out and throw in a completely fresh one to finish my testing, because it had gotten stuck due to the heat kind of welding the muzzle attachment and the Atlas together temporarily. Now, once these cool down, it is a lot easier to take apart, but for the time being, it did add a little bit of time and hassle to my suppressor testing. Also, part of that could have been mitigated by me remembering to bring the correct tool to be able to take that off once I had the Atlas off. So all in all, the can is extremely impressive in terms of durability, the flash performance, how quiet the can is, as well as the back pressure. I think most people are looking to sort of get into the low back pressure game in terms of silencers. This can fits all the criteria that you're going to need for a duty can. This will be what I will be running on my 12.5 inch as a dedicated build. I plan on leaving the Rearden Atlas device, hub compatible device, on the can and running the Liberty Precision Liberty Bell muzzle brake, and keeping that on my 12.5 inch as a dedicated setup. The reason I will do that, again, is the sacrificial baffle. The flash hider may have slightly better flash performance, but I would like to use brakes or comps for the sacrificial baffle benefit over the flash performance, because the flash performance is really only slightly noticeable under night vision, and even then it doesn't seem to be quite drastic in my opinion. It's very minor differences in how the flash out the front presents itself. The brake appears to have a slightly more of a fireball effect, but the flash hiders seem to have more of a jet coming out the front that was longer. as I showed. I will show it again here just so you can see the side-by-side comparison, but I will be running the brake, and that's what I would recommend doing on most suppressors, is to run a muzzle brake to help reduce the wear on the can, and also you do get some benefit in terms of the felt recoil because it is a muzzle brake. The flash hiders don't have that benefit, though they were intended to be flash hiders. They weren't intended to be something that helped reduce recoil, felt recoil. This is probably the best time ever to get into the suppressor game or short-barreled rifle game if you plan on doing so. I just ran a brace for this video, but maybe down the road I'll look at short-barreling the rifle. I could not be happier with this can. The company, Siege Suppressors, is based out of Gaston, Oregon. I also grew up in Portland, Oregon area, so it is cool to see companies out of Oregon producing such quality products. I will also be including some high-speed video that they had recently produced with another company. I believe they had the name something Ballistics in Oregon. They did high-speed footage of their can with a clear tube, so you can see what the internals look like with that linear diffusion array. So I will show that now, but seriously, I would look into buying this can if you're looking for a dedicated 5.56 duty can. Extremely tough. I completely back Siege Suppressors and their products. They also have a 7.62 can that I would really like to test down the road. I would love to run it on some AKs or a 308 bolt gun and see how that performs as well with that same sort of linear diffusion internal design instead of it being a traditional cone baffle, and seeing how that performs. They also do have a 22 can as well that I think would be a lot of fun to shoot. I just quickly want to touch on the people that I want to thank for helping this be possible. I had Siege work with me directly and East Valley Tactical to work with me on making this suppressor happen. They helped me get a discount to promote this can and to test it. They did not tell me that I needed to make a good review about this. They just wanted me to get the can in hand and make an honest review of what I thought of it. I don't have a single bad thing to say about this suppressor. It's very quiet, it's very good at flash performance, and I trust the durability with it. I think that this can is quite impressive for the money. I can't think of anything better for the value to be able to buy in terms of suppressors. I would highly recommend that if you're looking for a 5.56 can, that you just go with this and don't look any further than this. And I would also like to thank B King's Firearms for providing the quality materials for the handguard, the upper and the lower. I truly am impressed with their builds. I've done a 300 blackout build with some of their parts. I used a handguard from them and a stripped upper. Completely flawless, and I really like their products. They are made in the US, and they are an awesome company. They are Marine owned, and I would highly recommend that you support them if you're looking to do your next AR-15 or AR-10 build. They also have other parts as well, and you can basically use them as their one-stop shop if you're looking to buy things online through them. And that's really about it, guys. I appreciate you listening to the video, and I look forward to seeing you guys with the next review, and let's plan on having that be the 7.62 can variant from Siege Suppressors, and we'll make that happen. All right, thank you guys.